Ladies and gentlemen, the drama continues to ensue revolving around Mike Budenholzer and this Phoenix Suns organization. As we saw yesterday, Devin Booker obviously talking out about the coach, and earlier today, reports coming out about Mike Budenholzer telling the star to tone down. But with even new reports coming out revolving around how insufferable the coach is and miserable with the team, could this potentially be a sooner rather than later movement with the coaching carousel revolving around Mike Budenholzer and this Suns squad? We'll be getting into all of that and more on this episode of Suns Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz, and I want to give a huge shout out to you guys because you guys have been paying attention, giving us every ounce of support, regardless of it's bright news or saddening news, talking about this type of stuff revolving around the Suns being in a little bit of a disastrous season. So I do appreciate you guys for sending all your love and letting us know what your ultimate thoughts are down below in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think about Coach Mike Budenholzer before we dive into the video. Without further ado, make sure to grab that snack and let's get into it. As what is going on with this Phoenix Suns team, ladies and gentlemen? I ultimately do not know, but all the signs are pointing to this potentially happening and undergoing down as Mike Budenholzer and this Suns organization just hasn't been gelling. If we want to dive in and look at the reports courtesy of John Voita here posting on it. Per Gambo on the radio today, he said that inside the Suns organization, that Mike Budenholzer is miserable to deal with. Absolutely sickening words to hear. And as we talked about earlier, released a video earlier today going into the details revolving around Devin Booker and the Mike Budenholzer situation, which if you missed that, go check that out. But I'll give you a little bit of a synopsis in which obviously, Crispy Haynes came out today and talked about how Devin Booker was told by Mike Budenholzer privately to tone down vocally, which doesn't make any sense to tell your leader to and your franchise record leader as well in points, a guy who was basically Mr. Phoenix Sun, to tone down vocally when he's trying to lead his team into the playoffs and into the play-in, specifically when Mike Budenholzer has been a big deterrent in the Suns potentially getting to the playoffs or the play-in with his lineups, with his rotations, with his questionable running of this team, and all of that matter as well. So ultimately, it's very, very frustrating as a Phoenix Suns fan to sit here to watch all of this unfold and have to hear all about this, because this is not something that we ultimately want to deal with. I can't believe that I was blinded by the fact that a head coach that and Mike Budenholzer, who was saved by winning an NBA championship with the Milwaukee Bucks, would help this Phoenix Suns team. We were blessed by Frank Vogel last year. We used him as a scapegoat, and now we're gonna have to use Mike Budenholzer as another scapegoat, which other franchises around the league are gonna look at us and be like, "Oh, all they do is just fire their head coaches. It's not the head coaching problem." But clearly, it is a head coaching problem. Maybe not last season as much as it is this season, but clearly this season, with the rotations, with this lineup, with everything, Mike Budenholzer has been miserable. And not only has he ruined relationships potentially with Devin Booker and potentially with Yusuf Nurkic, as well as we saw with Dwayne Ranking, but with other guys as well in this organization, as like we said that it is miserable with Mike Budenholzer to deal with. And that's not great to hear for the Phoenix Suns, a team trying to push the playoffs, a team that is trying to, make the play-in at this point, going into their toughest part of the schedule, is looking like it's going to be a drastic chance for them to do so. And that's unsettling for the fans, as this team is a second apron team, has the most salary in the entire NBA, and had the expectations of being a top tier team in the Western Conference, if not definitely a playoff team in the Western Conference with the roster it has built around it. So the fact that they are not hitting those expectations, regardless if it's the players, regardless if it's the front office building the team, regardless if it's coaching staff, it is absolutely asinine to see and absolutely ridiculous for Suns fans to absolutely have to deal with this season. And it's led to the falling apart of the front office, falling apart of the team in front of our eyes, with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker becoming very vocal in post games and in, during the game, with Kevin Durant vocalizing to Mike Budenholzer last game, or versus the San Antonio Spurs, that they needed a defender when De'Aaron Fox was slicing them up when they were Victor Wembanyama and still lost to the San Antonio Spurs. Those are the types of things you need to see adjustments made by Coach Bud that we haven't seen all season, and has led to the frustration from guys like Devin Booker, like Kevin Durant, and including the fans like us, because we see these boneheaded rotations, and then we see Mason Plumlee getting 10 to 15 minutes, regardless of the fact, with Ryan Dunn just absolutely sitting on the bench doing nothing. It's left fans puzzled, confused, and ultimately, I think it's pushed for the narrative of Mike Budenholzer to be fired a little bit more. If you had talked to me about this a week ago, I would have honestly said to you, even just a couple of days ago, that I would have rather keep Mike Budenholzer. I said that we could repair this relationship with some of these players. Maybe the Suns shouldn't go through this coaching carousel, but clearly there are more bigger issues with this coaching hire than we thought. Mike Budenholzer just isn't that guy, and with a defensive-minded coach like Frank Vogel, we still see, and with an offensive head coach and Mike Budenholzer, we still see Kevin Durant sitting in the corner. At least Frank Vogel was able to work with a worse roster and was able to bring at least better results. It's absolutely asinine. The Suns need a different type of direction in a head coach, and we're going to get into in a little bit what that possibly could be. So let me know your thoughts on Mike Budenholzer. But like I said, what is the most likely outcome with this Phoenix Suns team, and what could they potentially look to do for the future? Well, ultimately, with this team, Mike Budenholzer is just not going to be staying long term. And I think ultimately, depending on how the Suns look tonight, that could be a big difference. The Suns going into today's game have no Bradley Beal once again, have no Grayson Allen, or not necessarily no Grayson Allen, but he is doubtful, no Cody Martin, and no Monte Moore. So Grayson Allen might be added onto that injury list. And I expect Colin Gillespie to be getting first quarter minutes due to the fact that they don't have that scoring and shooting instead of a player like Ryan Dunn, who's definitely needed for the defense. But anyways, the Pelicans have no Zion Williamson, no CJ McCollum, and no DeJounte Murray, three of their best players. So if the Phoenix Suns ultimately fall to a 14th seeded back-to-back loss to a Pelicans team at home without their best players and with the Suns still having KD and Booker, I guarantee you Mike Budenholzer will be fired by this weekend. But if not, if the Suns are able to pull through, maybe Mike Budenholzer is staying long-term. But I think the writing is on the wall for Mike Budenholzer, even if not at the end, even not in the middle of the season, but by the end of the season. And who could be the guy to replace him this season? Well, it would be the interim assistant head coach, David Fizdale. And David Fizdale has been notoriously known to be a pretty solid defensive head coach and a pretty solid player head coach, something that the Suns desperately need as they lack both of those with this roster. And even in watching yesterday's game with the Phoenix Suns, you saw David Fizdale standing up, kind of leading with some of these guys. And I truly believe that some of these stars like Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal would work under a guy like David Fizdale. And who knows, if they're able to turn around halfway through the season, even if they aren't able to, make a deep run, but at least provide some hope of competing for the play-in, maybe making the play-in last second after going up against this gauntlet of a Western Conference with a new head coach. That would be absolutely incredible to see with this turnaround, and then ultimately investing into this team. I believe David Fizdale would also have some better lineups, some better distribution, playing guys like Ryan Dunn and Bol a little bit more effectively alongside Nick Richards, instead of using guys like obviously Mason Plumlee, Grayson Allen, and Tyus Jones all in the same lineup, similar to what we've seen with Mike Budenholzer, as Budenholzer has been very reluctant to make changes and address changes on the fly, which has very, very stagnated this team this season. But like I mentioned, a guy like David Fizdale could ultimately come in this season, and then looking into the next season, depending on how the Suns look, they could keep Fizdale, or ultimately they could look in a different direction. Like I mentioned, I think the Suns kind of need a guy similar quality to Fizdale, even if it is not him. A defensive-minded guy, a guy who's going to be smart on the analytics, going to know the X's and O's, is going to be able to instill a culture with this Phoenix Suns team and really grow that, regardless if it's with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant and stars, regardless if it's with Ryan Dunn and some younger players. We need a guy that's going to invest into the team and is going to invest into making the Suns better as a squad and holding the team accountable as well. So let me know what you think down below in the comment section. Like I said, I think the carousel will be spinning regardless if it's this season, in the middle of the season, or at the end of the offseason for the Suns to be finding a new head coach. And ultimately, I think they will be striking 4 coaches in 4 seasons. But I want to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. So let me know what you think on this Phoenix Suns team. Like I said, they do take on the New Orleans Pelicans just a little while, so we will have some more coverage breaking down this Suns team for you guys following that game. So let us know what your thoughts are down below in the comment section, how you guys ultimately feel. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day, and go Phoenix Suns. Peace out, everyone.